Afternoon, everybody. Hope you're all well. And yeah, weather's terrible this weekend. All right. Today, I've done a little bit of meditation, working on learning about depression. Also, depression. We all know it as the black dog moment. All right. So as today, I thought I'd just come on because, a lot of people today are facing uncertainty of their future, and there are financial implications. So this is now going to start for certainty manifest. A lot of people will face life struggles and face potentially overwhelming thoughts, feelings, and emotions. All right, and which can debilitate you and lead to depression. All right, so I thought I'd come on today and just talk about depression. That is most probably affects a lot of people, and there's different forms of depression. All right, it can be minor, but it can be debilitating. If you suffered from depression, whatever level you're suffering, it is nothing to be embarrassed about or ashamed of. All right, I've suffered it myself in the past, and I suffer it today. All right, more people today are getting depression than ever before in life. It's on the increase across the globe due to COVID-19 and all the uncertainties around COVID-19. And the biggest driver of depression is life struggles. Money. Depression is nothing to be embarrassed about or ashamed of. Admit to having it today. A lot of people get embarrassed to admit they've got it, and don't speak up and feel alone. But look, if you're feeling overwhelmed, in despair, speak up and share it. Because if you don't, depression can become overwhelming. You can go into despair and you can actually kill. It does kill. That is fact. It has drove me to contemplate my existence on this earth many times, over and over. I've been close many times to actually ending my own life, which is unbelievable when you think about it. But today I have a better understanding. I have gone through a lifetime of, now I know, is depression. And I've learned to manage it. And I still have it today. All right? It hasn't gone away, but I know how to manage it. Today I've learned to interact with my feelings and emotions. Feelings and emotions, which a lot of us don't like to interact with, are signals, friends, in my body, and my body produces it to tell me something's going wrong. It could be a good signal, it could be a bad signal. A lot of times, the good signals we ignore. The negative signals which are produced by my thoughts and from my memories, which are created by the environment I'm in at the present time, which the thought is usually communicated. All right, the senses get triggered, and my thoughts get created. So I'm going to give you a quick overview of a full-blown episode of depression. Well, the best way I can describe it. All right, and I'm going to use some words that a Professor Mark Williams actually used in his work. All right. Depression is a combination of experiences of a distortion as in the way of thinking, the way of feeling, and the body and your impulses. All right. One of our bodily senses usually triggers a thought in our mind. It could be a smell. it could be a sight of a photo or a video. It could be picking up something or touching something or somebody touching you, a taste or hearing a sound. Whatever the sense is, it triggers a memory in our unconscious mind. And that memory creates a thought. Right? Most times the thoughts are dominated by negativity because our brain is for survival and it's negative bias, which leads to ideas that we are helpless, rejection, we're being a failure, we're stupid, we're not good enough, and we're not worthy. That's where they usually go to, these thoughts. Most of the times, the thoughts are like inner conversations that we're having. It's like having a conversation with somebody in your head, all right? It's between you and another person, but it's not. You're having this conversation in your mind. It can become overwhelming, and the feelings that make you feel the lowest of the low, that nobody wants, nobody likes. And if you really look at it, it drives you down. All right? And the problem we've got is we actually go into, oh, I'm a fraud. You know, people find out who I'm really like and who I really am. They'll reject me. So you get these thoughts going on as well. These feelings of sadness, of hopelessness, worthlessness, and they're very closely tied. You know, the feelings are closely tied with your thoughts. When you feel, oh, I'm not worthy, I'm hopeless. All right, it's coming from your thoughts. Imagine somebody standing behind you all day saying how useless you are, then, and telling you you're hopeless. Then sooner or later you'd feel sad, you'd feel irritable, run down, exhausted, and you'd feel a miserable failure. And that's the way in which the feelings reflect on these thoughts. All right, and the feelings create in your conscious mind a feeling of, I'm a victim. You get angry, you get concerned, and the thoughts are dominated by these feelings and reinforced by these feelings. Emotions are reinforced even further then, and you get angry, you get sadness, you get sorrow. All right, it's not just a mental thing our body's going through. The body actually slows down. You lack energy. Your body fails to work in an efficient manner. You can't be asked at the end of the day. You may not sleep well. You may sleep. You may hide. You don't eat well. And this all feeds back into your senses of fatigue and slowness and lack of energy. So you're in a circle, you're in a spiral, and you're out of control. In some cases, we become very agitated and we actually really slow down, sit around, slump over. This soon becomes repetitive forms of habit, which can occur without any warning. Habit is when the mind is doing something repetitive and is, instead of using energy up, it just switches off and lets it do it. Many people may think, have this occur once, twice a day, or once a week, or a month. In depression, it comes all the time and it doesn't stop. Look, many of you watching this will know and understand that moment where you wake up in the middle of the night. For example, you're working on a project and all of a sudden you're not able to get back to sleep because your thoughts are going around and around and around and around on that one thing, or maybe something you haven't done, and your thoughts just keep running. All right, they just ruminate and you brood over it. Well, depression is like that, sort of the middle of the night when you wake up. but it actually happens during the day as well, and it's non-stop. All right, so that's depression. Somebody with depression, if you look at their posture, if you look at the way people walk when they're depressed, I know because I've been there. And I'll give you an example. My head's down and my shoulders are up. I'm slouched. I'm sitting around slouched around. I'm just like a slouch. Somebody who's not suffering depression is actually sitting upright, walking upright, and actually they're actually steady on their feet, and their chests out, and they're tall. Right, when you're depressed, you're down and you're slunched. Lastly, your behavior is affected as well. Either you feel suicidal, but also you feel like withdrawing from the world, withdrawing from everybody, and the senses of withdrawing and not wanting to see people, see things. You know what I'm on about. All right? If you've been there, you know what I'm on about. Look, we've all had times in our life when the phone has rung and the other person on the end of the phone, you see it and you think, oh no, do I have to answer that? Do I have to engage? Oh, and you avoid it. All right, that's a form of depression. Or when you didn't want to get up in the morning. All right, and you want to hide under the sheets. You didn't want to see anybody. You know, that time where you were withdrawn, you didn't want to engage with anybody, you didn't want to tell anybody how you were. And that's what I'm on about with depression. But that goes on relentlessly. It feels like it goes on and on and on in depression. And it never ends. You can't see an end because your thoughts are going on, your feelings and your emotions. All right, and you put this all together, you feel there's no change. And the impulse from your body is just to act, or your behavioral tendency is to withdraw. Best thing for you to do is withdraw from everything. And these thoughts are reinforced, your feelings and emotions, which drags you further down. All right, it's not surprising that people feel the burden and feel they can't function when they've got all this going on in their life or in their head. All right, it's not actually, it's going on in their head, their feelings, and what's going on in this present moment. As I said today, I have a greater understanding of the fundamentals of the mind. I have the ability to notice my feelings and emotions, which I've embraced as signals to warn me that I need to look at something. I've actually learned to actually look at my feelings and emotions, then become the observer of my thoughts, which my thoughts can be overwhelming and debilitating, but a lot of times they're lies. So I become the observer of what I'm telling myself. My thoughts are based upon my past memories and enforce me to feel helplessness and rejection, being a failure, being stupid, not being good enough. All right. And actually, my thoughts reinforce that I'm worthless. Nobody wants to listen to me. It took me most of my lifetime to understand what was going on and what was happening in my life. Took me a long time. As I said, I've contemplated suicide. I've become more open today, and I've got more understanding, and I'm mindful. The journey by learning has given me mindfulness, enables me to notice my tipping point, or when, when them emotions and feelings start getting overwhelming. It allows me to notice it and tap into it and see what's going on, to stop me going to the depths I've been to before. By learning my mind and learning about my emotions and feelings has actually saved me today. Remember, these thoughts, the inner conversations, the majority of the times, are lies based on past memories. all right? They actually make you feel. Your mind goes to negativity because it believes it's survival. All right, it doesn't distinguish. Your mind doesn't distinguish between positive and negativity. It works in negativity. To become positive, you've got to become uncomfortable, and you've got to face them emotions, and you've got to face what's going on. But the truth of the thoughts, what your thoughts are telling you, actually, the truth is, the thoughts are lying to you, and you are an amazing person. You are worthy. Everybody, a lot of people love you. A lot of people want to be around you. All right, you're not a stupid. You know, these thoughts create the feelings and emotions are there to protect him. All right, but the mind is a negative bias. So, all right, please remember. A lot of times we become, in our conscious mind, the subconscious mind, where the thoughts are produced from your memories. It creates the feelings, the emotions. Then the conscious mind plays in there in a level of victim where you get angry. All right, and then you just go around in this circle instead of getting concerned, and taking responsibility. Luckily, I'm here to share my experiences and knowledge with you today. So, look, if you are suffering from overwhelming, debilitating thoughts, feelings, and emotions, do one thing for me today. Stop and speak to somebody and tell people what you're feeling. Tell people, don't be embarrassed, all right? We all have life struggles. Depression is just something that manifests when we do not talk or share about what our emotions and feelings and what we are telling ourselves. Open up and speak. Share. You'll be surprised how many more suffer in silence. We think we're the only ones suffering at the times when we're suffering. But trust me, you're not. I've been there many times. I've been in the homeless hostels. I've been hard on myself. I've contemplated taking my own life. I've kept everything inside. I felt embarrassed to share anything because I thought people would look down on me. But the truth of it is, it was lies I was telling myself. Today, I'm sharing my stories with everybody. People are telling me they want to hear about it. But in my mind, in my thoughts tell me that nobody wants to know what you've gone through. Nobody wants to know about depression. What you're doing, Clive, is you're stupid. What do you know? The reason I'm sharing this with you today is because I've lost a lot of friends and family, actually family members, to life struggles and depression because they couldn't speak about what they were going through. And today it hurts me. It hurts me. But yesterday I sat with a lady. I hadn't met the lady. I walked into this shop. I started speaking to a gentleman. All of a sudden a lady come from the back of the shop. And the lady was a beautiful woman. We started engaging. And 2.5 hours, 3 hours later, I'm in a kitchen with a lady of the premises, and we are talking about life, and we're talking about emotions, we're talking about life struggles. And during the 2-hour talk I had with this lady, she gave me compliments, and she complimented me and she said, "You're a very intelligent individual. I've enjoyed talking with you and engaging with you." And at the time, I couldn't take them compliments. And I've had a lot of compliments in my time, and I never take them. And the reason I don't take them is because my thoughts in my head, which create my feelings and my emotions, I feel I'm not worthy enough for them compliments. I feel I'm not good enough. All right. But them thoughts were created from my childhood. See, when I was younger, in secondary school and the IS, comprehensive, I was, and they may be the same thing actually. All right. I struggled with reading and writing. I struggle with the alphabet. All right. I got told by people in authority and people within my own family that I was not gonna be anything in life. At the end of the day, I was either going to be a drug addict, I was going to be in prison, or I was going to end up dead or in a gang. So, so that's what I was told at a younger age. And what the people who told me that, actually, I understand why they told me it today, or I believe I understand. In my opinion, it was to try and kick me up the arse to get me to take life seriously, because I weren't taking life seriously. Okay, I was struggling because I weren't the brightest in the pack. All right, and I enjoyed life. So, but they used statements and words which they tried to push me. Unfortunately, they didn't realize, and a lot of people who use these words of you're not gonna make anything in life, you're just going to be a down and out. When people tell you things like that, and a lot of people in education tell you things like that to try and motivate you to move you forward, what they don't realize is you actually hold on to that for the rest of your life, and it debilitates you, and it can overwhelm you because it becomes part of your thought process, and it pushes you down, and it can push you into depression. All right, so when you're not achieving something in life, or you're achieving your best, so as I said, your brain is negativity wired, all right, to be in the positive mode. You've actually got to be uncomfortable. You've got to be, to grow in life, and be positive, okay? You've got to be uncomfortable. If you're comfortable, then you're living in a life of negativity, all right? So if you are suffering today, struggling, and let me tell you now, a lot of people are struggling today. Even I struggle today because money is the main driver today. We must have money to survive. We must have money to feed ourselves. We must have money to house ourselves, have a house over our head. We must have money to have heat, water, hot water. Where our brain is million years of age, when our brain were hundreds of years ago, we used to hunt for our food. We used to build our properties or our houses or our dwellings. We used to build them from the environment. So our brain was built for survival. Today, our lives have changed dramatically, and money is the main. Where we used to hunt for food before, we don't hunt anymore. Our form of hunting is going for money, because that's what we need now to live, is money. And if you haven't got money, and you can't get money easily in life, and you can't go, and you don't know how to hunt money other than just go to work, then you are going to struggle. You are going to struggle with your mind. Then thoughts will be 100-mile-an-hour at you. All right? So please, if you want to grow, you've got to get uncomfortable. All right? You've got to get out there. And please, it's going to get uncomfortable to share what you're thinking and what your emotions and your feelings are. Because some of the emotions you'll have inside you could be debilitating, right? And traumas you may have experienced in your life have created thoughts, but you've got to get uncomfortable to move them emotions and understand what is going on in your mind, so you can grow. All right, don't suffer in silence, and if you feel yourself at a place of despair, reach out, please. Reach out. Talk. All right? I've gone through it. As they would say, I've got all the t-shirts, all right? And I'm only here today talking to you on this camera because I got uncomfortable. I started talking to people. I got concerned, and I started learning about my mind. All right. And I started opening up and talking. And as hard as it was, nobody ever looked down on me. And I thought, oh, how can I share my stories with friends, close ones, families? I lost my family for 10 years. I lost my family for about 10 years. Didn't speak to my family for about 10 years because my emotions and my thoughts, my feelings, I was worried what they were going to think about me. They didn't think anything different of me. I'm Clive. All right. And they had their own struggles and they shared their struggles with me as well. It's only when you sit down and start sharing and caring will you overcome what you're going through. So please, today, do one thing. And if you know people are struggling, please reach out, because it's a fucking horrible place to be. So, and I'm sorry to swear because that's the only way I can put it. All right. So if you know somebody's not their self, reach out, please. Please reach out and talk to them. All right. And let them know you're there for them. Go that little bit extra and start talking to them about, open up the conversation, tell them how your week's been. Because a lot of times we will not talk to you about our feelings until somebody else has opened up. So take the lead, please. All right. You may save somebody. Because today there's a lot of uncertainty, and a lot of people today are contemplating whether they want to be here, whether they want to carry on in life. And it's across all age groups. All right. This goes from teenage years all the way through to the old. All right. This doesn't just affect a certain criteria. It affects everybody, and it can happen like that. All right. So if you've got children, start talking to them. Okay. Because start getting to their level. Don't judge them and don't set expectations upon them. Listen. Share some of your experiences in life. Share some of the things you've gone through. All right, which will enable them to come to you and open up. I love you all. All right, have a great weekend. And yeah, if you need to talk, I'm here myself. All right, take care.